Good morning, CrossPoint. So good to be with you this Wednesday morning. Actually, it's Tuesday afternoon as I'm recording, and wouldn't you know it, it has stopped raining. The wind has been blowing and it's drying up, and boy, that's good because it's been raining, seems like forever. But anyway, good to be with you via video again, and want to mention just a couple things and then talk to you about some vision items that we mentioned at the top of the year. Stay tuned in. Don't go elsewhere and check Facebook or whatever. I got some things I think you're going to want to know. The first thing is I'll be out of town this Sunday. Jeff Doringer is going to be with us, so he's a good man and he loves Jesus and he knows how to hear from Jesus, and he's actually going to talk to us about that. So make sure to tune in for that. Bruce and Kelly are running the office. If you got questions, you can tap into our elders. Bruce especially will be in the office pretty much every day. His preferred office hours are 1 a.m. to 4 a.m. every morning. So feel free to call him during those times. And if you just want someone to talk to, call him up during that time slot. He would love to chat with you about the weather or anything else you want to talk about. He's going to kill me for saying that. Anyway, so that's that. The other thing is, we heard some fantastic news last Sunday about the mortgage independence drive, and thank you, Joe Paul, for communicating that so well. But what he was communicating, I hope, is not lost to the rest of us, that we are making incredible progress on paying off the mortgage this year. I mean, incredible progress. I look at the numbers every month, and I almost have to pinch myself because I'm thinking this can't be for real, but it is. Our goal is to have it paid off in October, and obviously I don't think I need to explain to you, anyone who's paying off a mortgage knows that, boy, that would be a lot of capital, a lot of resources that would be joyfully spent advancing mission and other things, ministry. But these are, we're dealing with the mortgage and trying to get it behind us so we can move forward and take some territory. And that's going to be fun. I mean, you hang around, that's going to be a lot of fun. But incredible progress. Big shout out, CrossPoint. I know you've been giving. God has blessed many of you, and you've been blessing the church. Many of you have given towards this. I want to encourage us to stay the course, and let's get this thing behind us. But this just fantastic news, and I think it is yet another indication of Jesus' favor on this fellowship. I'm telling you, Jesus loves CrossPoint, and the resources are pouring into this fellowship in ways that I haven't seen before. And I think Jesus got some plans for us that are already coming to fruition. But it's a lot of fun to be out in front of something like this, and the Lord, we're thankful for it. So the other thing that a lot of you have asked about, hey, when are we going to open our doors again? What's the plan? So I'm going to give you a date. I know you want a date. I want a date. But before I do, let me just say this, that just because our doors are open doesn't mean that you should come on that day. Now, let me explain what I mean by that. We love our people, and we don't want anyone getting sick. We don't want to open our doors at the expense of our people. And so, statistically, just being honest with you, I've looked at the CDC website on the number of people that have passed away, unfortunately, from COVID-19, and statistically, the older you are, the more susceptible you are. It's just one of those things. And so we have a blessed congregation. We've also got a very active older congregation, or a portion of our congregation that's older, that is incredibly faithful. And what I mean is, when those doors are open, these folks show up, and that faithfulness is a fantastic example for all of us. But it's specifically for some of you who are older, and I'm talking 60s, 70s, and 80s. You want to really pray through whether you need to come out the first day we open the doors. because your health is most important, and it's not a question of being faithful. It's a question of being smart and wise. But we're going to open our doors June 7. That's the first Sunday in June. And we're going to implement some social distancing guidelines. And we want to be very careful. We want to be very smart and prudent about the manner in which we assemble. And so I'm not going to get into the guidelines, but I will next week, on the 27th, I'll get into that. So, but just be aware, and again, be prudent, be smart, that to not come out on June 7 does not mean you don't love Jesus. It might mean you do love Jesus and you're trying to take care of yourself and to be smart. So we want to be very wise and prudent with that. Now, the final thing I want to talk about is we cast some vision items at the top of the year, and there were two items, if you will remember, or two goals that we had for 2020. One is, as a church ministry, we want to get the right leaders in the right places, okay, so that we can get mobilized and move forward for this next season of ministry. And there are positions that we're looking for. One in particular that you'll be hearing about shortly. We're looking for an office administrator. We've been looking, shaking trees. Please be praying about that. And 2 Wednesdays out, I'll talk to you about another position that we're looking for. I don't want to get into that today. But we want someone in the office who's going to reflect our interests and who's going to help us move forward. Kelly is irreplaceable, and she is just fantastic. She's a woman of discretion, but she is retiring in July, and we need someone in that office. Kelly's been with us, I think, 12 years, and that's a fantastic record. But we're looking for someone to man that station. So if you know of anyone or you are interested in that, submit a resume to Kelly, and 3 references: pastoral or elder reference, a reference from a coworker, and a reference from a previous employer. But so we're trying to get the right people in the right places so that we can move forward, okay? So that's a position we're really needing to fill. But the other thing that I mentioned, and I've already talked about, of course, is paying off the mortgage. And I want us to think in terms of, I feel like in paying off the mortgage, there's been an entire generation of people that have worked and served and given and fought and been faithful. And we are the people that are going to enter the land of Canaan. I mean, we get to actually cross the Jordan, pay off the mortgage, and then it's going to be a lot of fun moving forward, expanding and growing and taking territory, rather than being, when we're paying off the mortgage, it's like a lot of the resources, and rightly so, are going into paying the bank. You got to pay the bank because we want a building to meet in. But beyond that, remember that logo that we've got. There are some priorities in a post-mortgage world. One is young people. We love young people. We want CrossPoint to be a place where young people can come and be loved on and be nourished and be discipled and to be taught and to be poured into. And so that's a priority for us in a post-mortgage world. In fact, we're already prioritizing that. And by young people, we're talking about 0 to 18. For me, that's kind of a CrossPoint. That's shall we say, it's like a back door through which we've lost people in the past too. And I get it. I totally get it. As a father, you want a church that's going to be ministering to your kids, and there are certain expectations. That's just the reality of the world in which we live in, that parents with kids care a lot about what's going on, about what's there for their kids. And I get it. I'm a parent. I care about my kids. I care what's going on. And so we care about that as a church. And so we're going to pour resources into that, because I feel like that's kind of an area that we need to shore up. Actually, I know it's an area we need to shore up. And we want to act responsibly and deal with that. Priority 2 is ESL. That is an area that God has blessed us in. We have a very robust, rich ESL ministry. And like I said Sunday in my interview with Naomi Lowe, ESL, it's not about, we have a vision for a program. We got a vision for people and showing people the love of Christ. And ESL is the best vehicle to do that through. Priority 3 was mission. We're talking local as well as international, but really local. And we're talking about investing in our city, getting engaged in the city, encountering the city, and interacting with the city. And we don't want to be, and I know you agree with me, we don't want to be inward focused. We want to be outward focused. And that's when the head is up and you're looking out in front of you. But that's what we're talking about. We're talking about mission. We're talking about engaging the city. Like, we want to be relevant in the sense that, like, if you have love in your heart for people and that love finds expression and you actually express it, then, like, I think we can say with integrity that there's relevance there. But when there's no expression, it's just, you can become irrelevant. So we want to engage our city. We want to be a church that knows what's going on in the city, that knows where the city needs ministry, that loves on the city, and that's able to interact with the city. So that's what we're talking about when we're talking about local mission. Of course, that includes international, but specifically, I feel like that's an area where CrossPoint has a lot of room to grow in, and that's encountering the Fairlawn Copley area, Summit County, but specifically our local area. The 4th area was more of a question mark. And to date, I haven't heard from anybody as to ideas about what could be a priority. And we had opened that up at the top of the year for you guys to give feedback on or thoughts about, hey, you know, if it were up to you and you'd like to see us really take some territory in an area that's not already mentioned, what would you think? What's on your heart? What's on your mind? So anyway, I wouldn't mind hearing from some of you on that question. That just show me you're engaged, show me you're thinking, you're praying, and you're thinking about the future CrossPoint, what God's doing here. So anyway, we will see you next week. I'm going to sign off. Take care, guys. I love you a lot. Goodbye.